Greetings, my dear students. How are you? Once again, we will be discussing about management principles and concept. Okay? So in this presentation, we will be delving on strategic planning. So this principle in management is very important, not just in your practice in medicine later on when you become medical doctors, but also it is very helpful in actual life in general. So without further ado, let's begin. Introduction. Before moving on to strategic planning, let's talk first about what actually planning is, okay? The definition of planning. What is planning? It is the process of thinking about the activities required to achieve a desired goal. So planning involves thinking. It involves ideas, okay? Involves gathering of thoughts in order to do a certain act, in order to accomplish a certain activity. So further, it is the first and foremost activity to achieve desired results. Okay? So by planning, a person uses his mind, his experience, his ideas in order to achieve a certain result. Many people find it hard to believe that good planning can significantly improve performance. In life, the element of success is planning and preparation. Without proper planning, without proper organization, all acts, all activities will be useless. Okay? Because proper planning defines success. It is an element of success. In management, there are two types of plan that you will almost certainly be involved in, namely business plan and strategic plan. So what is business planning? A business plan, as defined by entrepreneur, is a written document describing the nature of the business, the sales and marketing strategy, and the financial background, and containing a projected profit and loss statement. However, your business plan can serve several different purposes. Now, in contrast, what is strategic planning? Strategic planning is the process of documenting and establishing a direction of your small business by assessing both where you are and where you are going. The strategic plan gives you a place to record your mission, vision, and values, as well as your long-term goals and the action plans you'll use in order to reach them. Let us go to the 7 stages of strategic planning. Okay? So it starts with your mission. Identify the organization's vision. What does it want to achieve in an organization? Next step is the goals. Identify what goals must be achieved for the organization to realize its vision. Next step is the objectives. Break down the goals into specific and measurable objectives that can be monitored. The next step is strategies. Identify the actions that must be taken to achieve the objectives. Next step is actions and tasks. Identify the steps that individuals and teams must take to complete and execute the strategy. Next is control. Set up a system to compare actual with planned performance. Take action to correct underperformance, but be prepared to alter the plan in light of changing conditions. And lastly, the last stage is the reward. On successful implementation of the plan, recognize the efforts of all involved. Okay? So, the 7 stages of strategic planning is a step-by-step guide in order for the organization to achieve its goal. Now, it begs the question, how to use this model? Use the 7-stage approach as a valuable overview of the stages that you need to go through if you are to produce a comprehensive and well thought out plan. Different writers define the terms aims, goals, and objectives differently, and others use the terms interchangeably. Next, identify which planning approach your organization favors, top-down or bottom-up. Based on this, identify the role management expects you to play. So, what are the top-down approaches? It involves senior managers and a few planning experts locking themselves away for a week and developing a plan with little reference to anyone else. In this case, the role of the middle manager is to accept what has been produced and implement it without question. If this is your organization's approach, your job is to sell the plan to the staff, even if you don't personally support the plan. Now, let's go to the bottom-up approaches. This involves collecting data from staff at every level and senior managers and planners using this to draw up the strategic plan. The role of the middle manager is to collect, analyze, and summarize the most useful data before reporting it to the planning team. So, in bottoms-up approaches, there will be more work for you in terms of feeding into the plan, but implementation will be easier as staff will feel that their views were listened to. Whatever your role, use 1 or 2 trusted staff to help you provide information or implement the plan. Now, let's go to the evolution of strategic planning from Ansoff to Waterman. Used to identify which strategic planning approach your organization favors and how you can contribute. There have been 3 distinct stages in the evolution of strategic planning. In 1960s, Igor Ansoff's modernist approach, a top-down approach, is adopted with senior managers and a small number of specialist planners responsible for strategic planning. It assumes that planning over a 3 to 10-year period can be accurate and that implementation will be easy and routine. In the other hand, in 1980s, Peters and Waterman's postmodernist approach. As the future is unpredictable, planning is worthless. Management should concentrate on identifying new ideas and trends as they occur and aim to react to the new environment quicker than the competitors. In the late 1990s and onwards, Quinn Hamel and Prahalad's new modernist approach recognizes that all plans are based on inadequate information and will need to be updated constantly. Senior management is responsible for the intellectual leadership of the organization. They collect market information from frontline staff and middle managers and combine it with foresight, customer feedback, and small-scale experiments to identify the changes required. Each change is broken down into its constituent parts, and management play an active role in monitoring and supporting staff during the change process. Now, how to use this model? First, identify which planning paradigm, if any, your organization uses. Next, ensure that you fully understand the organization's long-term objectives and can explain them in clear, simple terms to your staff. And then talk to frontline staff, customers, suppliers, and competitors to stay abreast of what is bubbling under in the marketplace. Share this information with colleagues and senior management. And then, use your knowledge of possible future changes to plot a route that will make the implementation of the change easier for your staff and you. To deal with the 20% of truly unexpected events, train yourself and your staff to show flexibility, spontaneity, and creativity when responding to changing circumstances. So, as a manager, you must be flexible and work harmoniously with your staff. As you work with the organization's planning process, identify any weaknesses and try to resolve them while making sure that you get the credit for your efforts. Now, let's go to another theory of management. The Boston Consulting Group, the Matrix Model. And this model is crowned as king. Used to identify specific strategies you can use when considering the value of products and services to your organization. The Boston Consulting Group, or BCG, created a matrix to assist organizations in deciding how to allocate investment among their products or services and to divide them into quadrants. When faced with the findings from a BCG matrix, there are 4 possible strategies that organizations can adopt. First is build share. Invest to increase market share. For example, turning a question mark into a star or a dog into a cash cow. Next is hold. Invest just enough to keep the product in its present position. Next is harvest. Reduce the amount of investment in the product in order to maximize its short-term cash flows and profits. And lastly, divest. Get rid of a product by selling or phasing it out. Question marks and dogs are the most likely to be sold off, and the funds used to invest in potentially successful question marks and stars. Now, how to use this model? Stars are high growth products or services competing in markets where they are relatively strong compared with the competition. Stars are the most important category because they are your future. Next is cash cows, consists of low growth products or services with a relatively high market share. These are mature, successful products with relatively little need for investment. Next is question marks, are products or services with low market share but which operate in high growth markets. They may have potential but will require substantial investment in order to increase market share. Lastly is dogs. It refers to products that have a low relative share in a low growth market. Dogs may generate enough cash to break even, but they are rarely worth investing in. Okay? So these are the terms and definitions of this model. So for now, that is all about strategic planning. I hope you learned something. What is essential that as a manager, okay, as the leader, as the head of your company, you must plan everything, okay, and integrate your plan and also involve your staff in order to achieve the goals of the company. So for now, that's all for strategic planning, and still there are many theories and principles and concepts that we will discuss with regards to management. So thank you for listening, and if you have any questions, do not hesitate to ask me or contact me. Okay? So thank you, and God bless us all.